Hello and welcome to another week of meals. I am starting off with probably the undisputed champion of Crockpot easy dinners. This is a Mississippi roast. I'm using pork here. You really can use any protein that you want, beef, chicken, it all works really well. I'm adding some brown gravy mix here, as well as a packet of ranch dressing. This one is truly dump and go, so it's a good one to just have on hand in case you're having one of those days. Next up, I am adding a butter that probably could have been sliced up or chunked up, but I'm just putting the whole thing in whole. I'm using mild pepper rings here. The original recipe calls for pepperoncinis, but I didn't have any, so I'm just using these peppers. They're like banana peppers or something. No, they're not banana. I don't know what they are, but just some mild peppers. I'm throwing in the brine because I really like the flavor that it adds, kind of tangy. So you don't need to do that. You can put as little or as much of those peppers in as you'd like. The peppers do mellow out as they cook, so they're not going to be as spicy as before you put them in. So just do it accordingly to your taste buds. And now this is after 7 hours on low. I'm just shredding it up. It's really ready to go, so I'm going to turn the heat off, and that's going to be pretty much ready for dinner. And there you go, easy Monday night dinner. I've got my Mississippi pork roast served with cauliflower rice and some frozen peas. And then the guys had rice and a side of broccoli. Next up, we have a new family favorite. I'm convinced that anything that has French onion soup mix is going to be a favorite with us. So these are French onion beef sliders. I'm starting off by sauteing some sliced onions in butter. If you see that the onions are starting to get a little too brown, just add a little bit of water, and then I am going to move on to the actual beef mixture here. This is about 2 pounds of ground beef. I believe this is 80/20. As per usual, recipes will be down below so that you can see what ingredients I'm adding and the measurements. So that was just some beef bouillon. Now I'm adding some Worcestershire sauce and some black pepper. I'm just going in here with my hand and just mixing it gently. You don't want to really over mix it, but at the same time you do want to get all of those spices and all of the things that you throw in there mixed in completely. And here I am just sniffing it, my other set of taste buds, I guess, just to see if it needs more of anything, and I'm going in with a little bit more beef bouillon. So I'm going to mix that in right now. Headed back to the onions here, just going to mix them around, move them around in the pan. Again, I want to get these caramelized, nice and brown and caramelized, so that's what I'm looking for right here. I could go a little bit longer if you want, you can go ahead and do that. These are pretty much almost ready for me, so now I'm going to make a little well, or a little space in the middle of the skillet so that I can add the ground beef. You want the ground beef to be fully cooked through, so I'm just going to move this around until it is, and then I'm going to mix it with the onions at some point. Give it a little taste test as I do, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit more onion. We really like I guess a pronounced onion or French onion flavor, clearly. So I'm just going in, this is not part of the recipe, but that onion soup mix right there, I'm going to reserve for when I'm going to put this dinner together. This is morning prep, so I'm going to let this all mellow, and then I excuse me, when I warm this up tonight to prepare, I'm going to give it one more taste and add the French onion dip if I feel like it needs it. Okay, we are back in the late afternoon now, and I'm just warming everything up and getting the sandwiches ready. Guys are still out, and Colin is going to be coming back from football. Rob is going to bring him home. I decided to add the French onion soup mix. Excuse me, I think it's called just an onion soup mix. It's the Lipton brand. Give it another taste test, and then we're going to assemble these sliders. Grab your baking dish and your bakery rolls, and I'm using this Artisano brand. I just want to make sure that it fit properly, and then I'm going to set that aside. Right now I'm going to mix some melted butter with beef bouillon and Worcestershire sauce, and this is going to be basted on top of the sliders. Carefully slicing the rolls in half horizontally so that we have a top piece and a bottom piece. I'm going to try to do this as evenly as possible so that it cuts through on the same even plane. Now to assemble in the baking dish, I'm giving it a little spritz of cooking oil, and then I'm going to put the bottom bun, I guess, in the baking dish. And then we're just going to layer the beef, cheese, the top bun, and then the butter mixture. We used Swiss cheese. Recipe says you can use Gruyere or Swiss. You can really use any cheese that you like. I think provolone would actually be really good in this as well. So just layering the cheese, and then I'm going to put the top bun on and then baste with that seasoned butter. If you are feeling frisky, go ahead and pour that all over if you'd like. I just wanted to baste it just to give it a little bit of a sheen and a subtle flavor. Into the oven, the sliders go, and after a bit of time, we are going to pull them out. Cheese will be nice and melty. Everything is warmed through. And then I'm going to go in with just a bit of the butter part of this and baste it with just the butter. And there you go, a nice little sheen on top of that, and we're going to serve those up. These would be great with a side salad, maybe some chips, or french fries, whatever you want for a side. The guys actually did not eat a side. They went in just for the sliders themselves. It's 2 pounds of ground beef, so that is a lot of food right there. I did reserve a small portion for myself, which I did not show you, so that is off to the side here. I made a bunless version with a little coleslaw salad, as I always do. It's just my go-to. And then I have this Kewpie deep, what is it? Roasted sesame. It's not super low carb, but you just need a little bit. But there you go. This is our dinner for the next evening. It was really, really yummy. And as I said, this is a new family favorite. Next at dinner we have our sort of Filet-O-Fish fish sandwiches that I am making for us. And I am starting off by making a tartar sauce. I am dicing up some onion. This is probably about a quarter of an onion. You really don't need a whole lot. The flavor of the onions does mellow a bit. It starts off a little bitter, so ideally I probably should have made this either the day before, but I didn't. This is, again, morning prep. I'm going in with some dill pickle. This gives it that nice, zingy, tart flavor as opposed to just straight up sweet relish. So I'm adding some of this to the onions. Now, I don't have a recipe and exact measurements for this, but you can kind of follow along and do it to taste. There's little Winston in the corner. I just had to leave him in when I saw this clip. He's so cute. But now I'm going to finish off by adding some mayo and some Worcestershire sauce. Also, I've got some sweet relish here that I will be adding because I do like it a little bit sweet, but not so cloyingly sweet like some of those other tartar sauces on the market. So here we go with a bit of relish. Decided to add a bit of black pepper, and then I will be adding a bit of onion powder as well. Like I said, I mentioned a little bit earlier, we just love that onion flavor. So it does balance out really well with the onion. I don't know what it is about the mixture of flavors, but in any case, these are the fish fillets we're using from Aldi. We've got some deluxe cheese, American cheese slices. There's the tartar sauce from earlier in the morning, sesame buns for the guys, and a keto bun for me. I do have some Kroger tartar sauce that Colin used actually because he likes that instead of like the homemade. But look how teeny these fish fillets are. They're really small. So I ended up using 2 per sandwich, but no matter, we had plenty. Time for assembly. Just slather on a bunch of that tartar sauce. This is the homemade tartar sauce that I put together. I put 2 of those fish fillets on the sesame bun and just use that residual heat from the fish fillets to kind of soften the American cheese. Fries for the guys, and I did mine with my coleslaw salad. I did ranch dressing tonight, and that was our dinner for Thursday. Last dinner for the week, I have been putting off for weeks, literally. This has been getting pushed back on the menu, and I just never made it. But I'm finally making strawberry stuffed French toast, breakfast for dinner, and I am making the cream cheese filling right now. Adding a block of cream cheese with a bit of heavy cream. I don't have an exact recipe for this, so I will link something similar down below just so you have a frame of reference. But this is just me flying by the seat of my pants. I did add some sweetener. That was monk fruit with erythritol. So this one actually is pretty keto friendly because I ended up using keto bread for my portion. However, the guys used a different bread, and you'll see that in a second. So just mixing this up with my hand mixer, and then I'm going to go in and fold in some diced fresh strawberries. Definitely recommend tasting the filling. I ended up adding a bit more sweetener, and it still wasn't very, very sweet. It just depends on the sweetness of your strawberries and how sweet you like the filling. I figured we have some syrup to put on the top, so I don't really like it super sweet. But now I'm moving on to like the custard that we're going to be dipping the French toast, well, the bread in. So I add some cinnamon, some milk, there's some vanilla there. I whisk that together, set it aside, and then I'm going to assemble the stuffed French toast. This is the brioche bread that I'm using. It's from Aldi. You can see the date says at the end of February. It tells you exactly how long I've been holding on to this recipe. Light the burner, and then I'm going to just warm up the skillet there. And I'm going to take some of that cream cheese filling, and I'm going to put it in the bread. Now, as you cook this, obviously the heat will soften that cream cheese. So I think if I do this again, I will, after putting the filling inside, I would put the sandwiches in the fridge and then have that just harden up a little bit, and then before putting the bread before putting the sandwiches in the egg to fry up. So that's what I would do next time. So there you go, one sandwich complete. I'm just going to do that for the remaining sandwiches. And here's my keto bread, including the heel, because I don't want to waste anything. So I overstuffed mine, I think, a little bit, so it does ooze out a bit, but it all tastes really good. So there we go. I'm going to take the egg mixture now. In the background in the skillet, I'm just melting up some butter, getting that heated a little bit through, and then I'm just going to dunk these in. You can soak it as much as you like. I don't like a squishy bread, so I just kind of do a little coating. Let that cook over low, medium low, just depending on your stovetop. And then I'm just going to check it to see if they're cooked. You do have raw egg in this, so you want to make sure that it's cooked through. Give it a little flip here. You can see the keto bread is a little drier in texture, so it's definitely more dense. It didn't pick up as much of that egg, but this is pretty much done. I'm also trying to cook the edges a little bit because, as I mentioned, it did soak in the egg mixture. So I'm trying to give it a little bit of heat to just cook the edges. But there is some heat coming off of the skillet, so I'm sure it's fine. There you go, served with a side of bacon and some leftover cream cheese filling. You can also use whipped cream if you like. I have Walden Farms sugar-free strawberry syrup, but you can use whatever you like. Maple syrup would be so good. I actually didn't use any because it was sweet enough for me. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this Meals of the Week video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by. Feel free to subscribe, like, share, all the things, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.